Sometimes it's hard to be a woman.
The lights of Music City flash like neon promises, but the real deals are struck far from the stage. Picture a smoky back corridor of the Ryman in the late 60s, a nervous assistant clutching 2 contracts, a powerful agent leaning in, and a young singer realizing she is being asked to gamble her soul for airtime. That single scene repeats decade after decade, shaping legends and casualties alike. Our journey today isn't about chart positions or award speeches. It is about whispered propositions, moral crossroads, and the stubborn resistance that made country music a battleground for integrity. Dolly Parton was barely 20 when an executive invited her to a so-called strategy dinner. She arrived with a notebook full of song ideas. He arrived with a proposition that had nothing to do with chord progressions. Rumor says he slid a key across the table to a penthouse suite and promised the fast track in exchange for a private encore. Dolly's laugh, as sparkly as her outfits, masked fury. She excused herself, called her mother from a payphone, and decided she would rather sew her own stage dresses than trade favors for fame. Months later, she topped the charts anyway, wearing rhinestones stitched by her own hands. Tammy Wynette's silky vibrato could make a breakup sound like salvation, yet behind the mic, she faced a different tremor. Nashville gossip claims a producer offered to mold her into the perfect crossover star if she surrendered creative control and accepted certain late-night mentoring sessions. Tammy countered by locking herself in the studio and co-writing "Stand By Your Man," a title some critics saw as irony aimed at those very power brokers. But the pressure never stopped. Years later, when she was kidnapped under murky circumstances, skeptics wondered if the ordeal was linked to the same darker negotiations she'd spent a career evading. Loretta Lynn stepped off a Kentucky mountain bus with a guitar held together by duct tape. Within weeks, she heard the first disturbing pitch. Sign here, let us polish the accent, and agree to after-hour publicity dinners that required more than small talk. Loretta smiled, nodded, and walked out, then poured the experience into "The Pill," a song so incendiary that 14 stations banned it on day 1. The outrage actually catapulted her career, proving that a woman who mined coal dust from under her nails could still strike gold on her own terms. Reba McIntyre's rise in the 80s was meteoric, but an early fork in the road nearly rewrote her story. Sources close to her first major agent recall a midnight call proposing a hotel suite brainstorm that was anything but professional. Reba, raised on Oklahoma ranch grit, insisted the meeting move to a public diner and brought 2 brothers along. The agent never showed. Reba's choice cost her that contract, yet within a month she signed with a new team, and the incident solidified her reputation for spotless boundaries. Patsy Cline's voice sounded like velvet dipped in bourbon, and that intoxicating quality drew both crowds and predators. Legend says a mogul dangled $1 million deal contingent on her signing a non-disclosure about private rehearsals. Patsy laughed, pointed to her wedding ring, and stormed out. She later accepted a lower offer from a smaller label, convinced her songs would do the heavy lifting. They did, but not without pushback. Certain radio sponsors quietly blacklisted her until public demand forced their playlists open. Barbara Mandrell mastered multiple instruments, yet some insiders claim her greatest skill was strategic family presence. During early tours, her father sat backstage at every venue, eyes sharp for any manager who tried to steer her toward the infamous casting couch. One promoter allegedly whispered that her dad's constant shadow cost her a headlining slot. Barbara shrugged, played a later time, and still stole the show. Years later, when she hosted a television variety program, she hired female producers who enforced an open-door policy wherever cameras weren't rolling. June Carter Cash was born into royalty, but even the Carter name did not grant immunity. Before she met Johnny, June was asked by a label rep to update her wholesome image with a risque photo spread promised to modernize the brand. June politely declined and, according to her nephew, mailed gospel pamphlets to that rep every Christmas after, each one signed, "Still wholesome, still selling." Some believe her whirlwind bond with Johnny Cash offered sanctuary from those industry overtures, a duet of hearts and strategic refuge. Crystal Gayle entered the scene with hair as long as the gossip train chasing her. Rumor claims a top executive offered to bankroll a lavish tour if she would endorse his side business in private. Crystal leaned on big sis Loretta for advice, and together they served the man a slice of humble pie by staging an impromptu radio acoustic session that went viral for the era, proving they could build buzz without his bankroll. The executive relented, signing her on standard terms. Connie Smith's rise in the mid-60s seemed meteoric until pregnancy paused her touring schedule. A label head suggested she re-earn radio slots through exclusive dinners, while her bump still hid beneath couture. Connie, appalled, walked. The same day, Chet Atkins heard her demo and signed her with no strings beyond musical ones. She later confessed that motherhood saved her from moral bankruptcy far worse than financial instability. Wanda Jackson's grit earned her the title Queen of Rockabilly. Yet before Elvis vouched for her, executives dismissed her as a novelty and then twisted that dismissal into leverage. One offered nationwide airplay if she socialized privately with VIPs after shows. Wanda countered by inviting him to church. He declined, and she redoubled her stage swagger, eventually forcing the industry to respect her on talent alone. Tanya Tucker broke through at 13, her voice shockingly mature. Record contracts appeared overnight, but so did adult invitations. Tanya later hinted that she navigated a minefield of scary propositions by pretending to be fearless and hiring a female road manager who stood guard like a linebacker. Even so, tabloids chronicled every rebellious detour, never realizing many of those wild stories were Tanya's smokescreen to keep prying hands at bay. Lynn Anderson's Rose Garden blossomed amid rumors that a label executive conditioned promotional spending on intimate compliance. Lynn stalled negotiations, toured relentlessly to prove she didn't need their dollars, and the song climbed anyway. When the exec tried to take credit, she publicly thanked the fans and only the fans, a subtle dagger that cut deeper than any lawsuit. Jeannie C. Riley skewered hypocrisy in Harper Valley PTA, yet behind the scenes she battled it daily. Her first manager, smitten and controlling, proposed a marriage of convenience that would double as a marketing stunt. Jeannie refused, fired him, and risked litigation. She won in court and in charts, turning real-life defiance into sonic rebellion. Bobbie Gentry wrote Ode to Billy Joe, then vanished like a ghost. Biographers argue that high-level figures pushed for exploitative contracts, and Bobbie, fiercely private, decided fame was a leash. She walked away in 1982, leaving money on the table but keeping her autonomy. Some say she lives quietly on a Mississippi farm, proof that disappearing can be the loudest statement of all. Dottie West's warmth made her a mentor to newcomers, yet early diaries revealed chilling encounters. She scribbled about a midnight meeting where producers outlined terms of stardom involving pledge rings and secret rendezvous. Dottie fled, slept in her car, and sang demos for cash until Kenny Rogers championed her. When she later won a Grammy, she held the trophy high and mouthed, "For the girls." Linda Ronstadt straddled rock and country, but Nashville still tried the same old playbook. A producer proposed personal benefits alongside studio time. Linda laughed, walked out, and the next day recorded with a different crew, delivering You're No Good, a title that felt like a dart aimed squarely at that proposition. Shelby Lynne entered the 90s with a smoky alto and a label intent on packaging her as a glamour doll. An exec reportedly offered a secret bonus for building chemistry over a weekend retreat. Shelby declined, left the label, and later founded her own imprint. Her Grammy for I Am Shelby Lynne vindicated the gamble. LeAnn Rimes was 12 when adults put pens in her hand. The contract looked golden until her parents discovered clauses that ceded article approval and personal appearance control to managers with questionable motives. At 18, she sued to break free, exposing predatory fine print. During the trial, a buried memo surfaced, referencing potential image development nights, code words dripping with implication. LeAnn's lawsuit rewrote legal standards for minors in music, turning her from prodigy to pioneer overnight. The thread binding these women isn't just talent. It is the relentless expectation that success comes with secret dues. Some resisted with clever maneuvers, some walked away, others paid invisible prices that surfaced as broken marriages, spiraling habits, or restless nights haunted by what-ifs. Nashville polished their records until they gleamed, yet behind every flawless vocal lay stories sharpened by compromise or the refusal of it. Imagine standing beneath the Opry's circle of lights, hearing the applause die down, and sensing the weight of history pressing at your back. Behind you stretch dressing rooms where deals once dangled like poisoned fruit. Ahead wait fans who believe talent alone opened the door. Between those points hangs a silence loaded with everything never written into contracts. That silence hums through every fiddle lick, every cracked high note, a reminder that true power begins the moment a singer whispers, "No." So next time a chorus lifts your heart, ask yourself what unseen battle made that melody possible. Did a midnight phone ring with an offer? Did a key slide across a glossy table? Did a brave voice risk obscurity for integrity? These questions echo through the Grand Ole Opry, through honky-tonks and streaming playlists, challenging every dreamer tuning a guitar tonight. And if legends had to gamble their values to stand on that stage, what will tomorrow's hopefuls be asked to wager? Listen closely. The unanswered chords still resonate in every new artist showcase, because the old guard may have traded three-piece suits for streaming dashboards, but influence still loves a closed door. In 21st century Nashville, the setting is a rooftop bar rather than a smoke-filled backroom. The offer arrives via encrypted message instead of hushed hallway whispers, yet the subtext remains the same. Do you want overnight virality, or will you insist on the slow burn of authenticity? One junior publicist recently told a podcast, anonymously of course, that he could propel a single to 1 million streams in a week, provided the artist was flexible with branding. Flexible in this context meant pliable offstage as well. Followers, likes, and playlists have become a new currency, and the people who control those levers rarely show their faces. Imagine a data analyst with the power to push a track onto a viral country playlist, followed by millions. That analyst might request a weekend creative retreat at a lakeside cabin. The itinerary promises brainstorming, yet the unspoken agenda echoes the worst rumors of the past. A singer contemplating that invitation stands on a precipice identical to Dolly's old Crossroads, only the key is now a Wi-Fi password. Industry veterans whisper that artificial intelligence will soon scout unsigned voices, rendering human gatekeepers obsolete. But technology is built by humans whose motives still color the code, so perhaps the algorithm will inherit the same appetites in numeric form. Will it rank compliance higher than courage? History warns us that systems learn the lessons they are programmed to perpetuate. Unless new artists rewrite the rulebook outright, they risk starring in a digital remake of an age-old story. In back rooms of the Country Music Hall of Fame, curators catalog stage costumes that shimmer under soft lights. Fans marvel at rhinestone bodices and fringed leather jackets, never suspecting how many invisible stitches hold secrets instead of fabric. One tour guide confided that a visitor once asked if Dolly's famous "I Heart You" jumpsuit was her armor against creeps. The guide laughed politely, then paused as though wondering how much truth she dared reveal on a family tour. Clothing is performance, but sometimes it is shield and testimony too. Consider how many love songs hide messages of defiance in plain sight. Patsy's "Crazy" sounds like a torch confession, yet insiders insist the original demo felt like a sarcastic nod to those who tried to buy her compliance. Loretta's banned tracks read like neon warning signs to any executive plotting the next after-hours pitch. Even Reba's playful "Fancy" tells a cautionary tale about the compromises poverty can enforce. A story with an edge that sharpens when you know what she dodged in real life. The scars linger in unexpected ways. Barbara Mandrell still insists on keeping dressing rooms unlocked, so staff can enter freely, a habit formed to prevent being cornered alone. Linda Ronstadt jokes that she refuses to sing in a room without at least 2 exits. Shelby Lynne travels light, but she always packs a spare set of car keys, a ritual born from leaving labels in the rear view. These tiny, almost invisible habits are the receipts of old negotiations, the kind printed on hearts rather than paper. You may wonder why so many chose to stay after the first repugnant offer. The answer is complex. For some, music felt like oxygen. To quit would be to suffocate. For others, families back home depended on those record advances. Walking away is noble, but not everyone can afford nobility. Bobbie Gentry could vanish because she'd already banked royalties. A newcomer scraping grocery money cannot as easily slam the door. That economic leverage is the industry's oldest trick. Monetize dreams, then weaponize necessity. Yet hope persists. A new wave of female producers is rewriting studio culture. They share group chats where they flag predatory managers in real time. LeAnn Rimes mentors teenagers navigating their first contracts, highlighting paragraphs that look benign until you imagine worst-case scenarios. Dolly funds scholarships so rural girls can study entertainment law, arming future generations with clout beyond vocal range. These countermeasures form a quiet rebellion humming beneath the steel guitars. One rainy night last winter, a showcase at the Bluebird Cafe ended with an unsigned singer thanking the legendary ladies who taught her the price tag is negotiable. She strummed a final chord, and the room fell silent before erupting into applause so loud that even tourists felt the shift. That moment summarized 50 years of resistance better than any lecture. A simple acknowledgement that stardom minus self-respect equals bankruptcy of the soul. As the house lights rise on this tale, remember that every gold record hanging on a label wall might conceal a footnote too raw for liner notes. Some victories were bought with sleepless nights, compromised boundaries, or the courage to endure gossip after saying no. Others were earned by outsmarting the gatekeepers, turning personal grit into sound waves we still hum in traffic. The next time a chorus sticks in your head, hear the faint echo beneath the melody, a warning, a lesson, a rallying cry. And so the story circles back to you, viewer, scrolling in the glow of a phone screen. You might be chasing your own dream, whether it's spotlight bright or quietly personal. Before you tap that share button, ask yourself what terms you'd refuse, what dignity is non-negotiable. Because the neon streets of Nashville, Hollywood, Silicon Valley, or any kingdom of ambition will always ask a question in exchange for the keys. Fame, fortune, influence, all come stamped with fine print. The legends we explored proved that you can sign in ink without signing away the parts of yourself you need most. They left us a compass drawn in melodies and missteps, pointing toward a harder but cleaner path. Walk it boldly, but keep your eyes open. Listen for the low hum of compromise masquerading as opportunity, and remember the stories of Dolly, Tammy, Loretta, Reba, Patsy, Barbara, June, Crystal, Connie, Wanda, Tanya, Lynn, Jeannie, Bobbie, Dottie, Linda, Shelby, and LeAnn. Their courage fills every note you hear tonight, so when the door finally swings open and the offer slides across the table, you will know which kind. But perhaps the most revealing testament to progress arrives in tiny green rooms across America, where unknown singers now carry pocket recorders instead of chaperones. They swap voice memos filled with warnings, share screenshots of dubious DMS, and schedule group check-ins before every tour stop. One rising duo in their 20s tells a ritual. Before walking on stage, they clasp hands, recite the names of the trailblazers we just explored, and promise to alert each other the instant any boundary blurs. They keep a shared notebook titled Non-Negotiables, logging every sketchy offer, every uneasy laugh, every strange request to chat privately. Flipping through its pages is like reading a survival guide annotated in real time, proof that vigilance can be collaborative rather than lonely. Those scribbles also map change. More canceled meetings, more managers blacklisted, more allies stepping up when someone yells, "Not cool." Their names form both shield and compass. When applause swells, newcomers hear an unseen encore. a whispered thank you urging them to sing louder, stand taller, and leave every backstage door cracked wider.